Hey guys, I'm Randy.
And I'm Daniel.
We're two lifelong friends and musicians, but when we're not playing gigs, we like to talk games.
And today on the Game and Gig podcast, the Game of the Year nominees have been revealed, and Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree is among them. But should it be?
All right, guys, welcome to the Game and Gig podcast. We are so glad you are here with us today. It's exciting because this week we got revealed the nominees for all the Game of the Year, all the awards at the Game Awards, but specifically the Game of the Year. That's the big one.
That is the big one, and it's Randy's favorite time of the year. You know, a lot of people like Halloween. People like fall. People like Christmas. Some people are really into New Year's. There's those crazy people that really enjoy St. Patrick's Day. But Randy is all about Game of the Year season. It's just what he's about.
It's my favorite holiday. The Game Awards, I know that the Game Awards don't matter. Like, at the end of the day, it does not matter at all. Like, really, I like the Game Awards mostly for the reveals. But it is cool to see which games get nominated. I really just like the conversations that come out of these nominations. And this year, the conversation has been maybe a little more divisive than in previous years. I mean, there's always the stuff of like, my game got snubbed. The game I wanted isn't there. Like, that's always there. But this year, we're specifically seeing like, why is this game even able to be eligible?
Is it even a game? Can we even really call it a game? It's like, it goes deep. You know what I'm saying? I miss the days, Randy, when the Game Awards brought people together. And you know what I'm talking about. You know him. You love him. I'm talking about Bill Clinton Kid. Okay? Back when Bill Clinton Kid made his yearly appearance, the world of gamers was united. Mm-hmm. And here we are, a nation divided.
Yeah, it's true.
A nation of gamers.
Well, a nation of gamers all divided. You might as well go ahead and let's take a look at what 6 games were nominated for Game of the Year. Okay. Now, the big one that has got everyone upset is the fact that Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree is one of the nominees, and we're going to try to save our conversation because we're going to dedicate the whole second half of the podcast to just talking about Shadow of the Erdtree. So we're definitely getting there, but first, let's talk about maybe some of the other games that were nominated.
Okay. Do you want to go? You want to pick and choose? Should we treat this like a draft, or should we just go in order? What do you want to be? Do you want to be creative or boring? That's really what I'm asking.
Well, you know what? Let's be creative. let's do it like a draft. As long as I can have the first draft pick,
you can have the first draft pick. Sure.
Does
that mean I get the second one?
I want first and second, to be honest, but I'll let you have the second.
Okay, deal.
So, okay, not only is it the first draft pick, it happens to be the first game on the list. Mm-hmm. Astro Bot, this is the PS5 exclusive from Team Asobi. This is my Game of the Year. Honestly, I kind of thought it was going to be here. I would have been very surprised if it wasn't. Mm-hmm. But nonetheless, I'm glad to see it here, and this is the game that's getting my vote. This game is just phenomenal. It's my favorite game I played this year. It's one of the best 3D platformers of all time, if not the best. I don't know. I feel like I could be talked into it being the best, and definitely super excited that Astro Bot is here.
Yeah. I mean, I'm also very excited that Astro Bot's here, but since it was your draft pick, I'm going to say all the reasons that it sucks. I'm just kidding. There are no reasons that it sucks. This game is great. So, yeah.
I think the only reason it sucks is that it's an exclusive to the PS5.
Yeah, but it uses the PS5 controller so well, it doesn't even suck in that way, Randy. This game is a delight, so I'm glad it's here. It's freaking adorable. We have often discussed how Astro has, mascot potential, like heavy-hitting mascot potential. One of those characteristics being drawability. I proved that it is possible with my masterful sketch of Astro Bot. You can find it in the Discord. Astro deserves our love and maybe our vote, but it won't be getting mine.
I know.
And holy segue, Batman, because that's going to take us right into draft pick number 2, which is also the second game in order here. Balatro, aka the GOAT. Okay, you might have heard of it. It took the indie game scene by storm. It's all over mobile. and it's just freaking amazing. Everybody in the world agrees, and everybody's played it except Randy.
You know, I thought that everyone had played it except me until I put out like the polls, like kind of ranking, like what is everyone's favorite game.
Yeah.
And I was really surprised that Balatro got the least amount of votes, like by a pretty fair margin out of all these games. Not that I don't think people love it, because I think people who know.
Yeah,
But the people who don't know, they're like, what the heck is this card game doing here? Like they don't know.
That is exactly right. Everybody who knows, but the people who don't really don't. And I was actually watching a YouTube video recently. It was a Pokemon TCG video, not gonna lie. And the guy was talking about how he got nominated for Mobile Game of the Year. Also, so did Balatro, right? So he was like going through the category, and he couldn't even pronounce Balatro. He called it Balatro.
Okay, let's talk about that, because Jeff Keighley called it Balatro. You've called it Balatro. Everyone I know calls it Balatro.
Yeah.
But I went back this week and watched the trailer for the game. In the trailer, they call it Balatro. In the trailer for the game. In the official trailer, they call it Balatro.
GTFO, bro.
I'm telling you. I'm just telling you what the trailer says.
GTFO with that horse crap.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, it was, I think it may have been like the launch trailer. Maybe it was either the launch trailer or the introduction trailer. One of the trailers, and it has a voiceover from a guy, and he calls it Balatro. Now, I'm not saying that the voiceover guy didn't get it wrong, but I'm just telling you what the voiceover in the trailer says.
Well, I am not even going to entertain such horse crap as that. So I'm just going to tell you it's a great game. It's pronounced Balatro. I refuse to change. And it is worth every second that I've poured into it, which has been quite a few seconds. So that's what I'm voting for. I always love the indie nod. I'm not going to lie, I do kind of gravitate to that. But this one's special.
Well, and speaking of the indie nod, like I was surprised that, well, not surprised, but I guess I would have been more excited about an indie game that I was more excited about, which was Animal Well.
Yeah.
See, the thing is, I just haven't played Balatro, so I'm sure if I played Balatro, I may not feel the same way, but I was really kind of hoping that Animal Well would get the indie nod, but it didn't. It's not what happened.
Yeah, no, Animal Well is fantastic, and when I was playing Animal Well, I did go through a phase where I was like, I don't really know what my favorite indie this year is. It might be Animal Well, it might be Balatro, but then Balatro came to mobile. And I had it in my pocket all the time. And I played it a whole lot more and loved it even more than I did the first go-round. And, it's the one, dude.
Well,
it's the one.
Let's move on to our third draft pick.
Okay.
I'm going to have to go with, a little controversial here, but I'm going to have to go along with, we got a comment here from Landnader who says, Rebirth is my pick. Elden Ring DLC should not qualify, and this is coming from a massive Elden Ring fan. We'll get to the Elden Ring stuff in a little while, but right now I'm going to go with my third draft pick being Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Now, that being said, you know that I liked Rebirth, but I had some problems with Rebirth. Mostly that I felt that it was padded. I felt like it was stretched too long. Like I had a lot of unnecessary side quests and missions. That being said, they're optional. So if you just mainline the game, I really liked Rebirth. But if I tried to 100% it and I was like, this ain't for me. So it ended up being a experience that I think could have been better had it been pared down a little more streamlined. But that's me personally. So I don't know. But I'm still really good game. I am glad it's here.
Yeah, well, I think it was obviously going to be here. It's a big old AAA game. Real well, it's graphically impressive. It's fun to play. It's Final Fantasy VII. I mean,
yeah,
of course it has to be here.
And speaking of card games, Queen's Blood, phenomenal card game, just so much fun.
Queen's Blood is fantastic, and I would play a mobile version of that too. Just add it to the list. I'm all about these card games now. Yeah, I'd play that. Queen's Blood is awesome.
Well, what do you? What's your next pick?
Okay, so this is draft pick number 4.
That it is.
I think I am gonna have to go with. I'm gonna have to go with Black Myth Wukong. I think Black Myth Wukong has always been a strong second hole hitter. And I think it'll bring a lot of strengths to the team. And for that reason, the Atlanta Braves have selected Black Myth Wukong at the 4th pick in the draft.
That's
I didn't play it, and neither did you. So I don't really have a lot to say about other than that it looks nice.
The thing I have to say about it is like Black Myth Wukong is a game that was obviously worldwide hype. Tons of people are still playing Black Myth Wukong.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the highest rated game. It's probably the lowest rated game out of all these on this list, probably by a fairly wide margin. All things considered. But although it didn't maybe do super well with the critics, fans have loved this game. And it kind of blew up only second maybe to like Pal World this year. Like it was probably the biggest just like out of left field phenomenon that just came out, So that's cool.
It is cool. And I think it was really big in like Eastern markets.
Like China for sure.
Yeah, had a lot of success there. And I'm sure it's really high quality. It's just I can't say I've played it, but I'm not necessarily surprised to see it here.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, like I saw a lot of people like asking for similar, not similar games, but games that kind of also blew up this year. Like they're like, why aren't they here? Like, why isn't Helldivers 2 here?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I think Helldivers 2 is taking Black Myth Wukong's place, essentially. I think if Black Myth Wukong hadn't come out this year, maybe we would have seen Helldivers 2 in this spot.
I know we're going to talk about some games that maybe we thought maybe got snubbed. Helldivers was going to be one that I brought up. I mean...
Oh, okay, yeah.
I think it may have, I think it did not benefit from the fact that it came out a lot earlier.
No, yeah, true. It came out really early in the year. Like when? It probably came out in February, March, something like that?
Probably. And it was huge and awesome, and everyone loved it. They did have, a misstep or two that maybe sullied the game for a few people. But I think it's recency bias is why it's not here, personally. And I forgot all about Pal World. That feels like a lifetime ago.
Yeah, and I think Pal World, obviously, huge in terms of how much success it saw this year. Obviously a big fan favorite. Technically, Pal World is still in early access, though, so I don't think that it even is technically came out this year. So
I guess not, and it may never will.
That if Nintendo has anything to say about it, they definitely want it. That's part of what they want. They were suing Pocket Pair only for like $30,000, obviously, that's a lot of money to me and you. But in terms of how much Pal World is raked in, that is like pennies to them. But the big thing that Nintendo wants is to see that game be taken down. Like they want it to be shut down.
Right.
So,
right.
Which is obviously a much bigger problem than $30,000.
Clearly. Laninator said Helldivers was great at launch, but the progression didn't really keep me or a lot of other people playing, I think. Yeah, that's kind of why I got out of it, Laninator. I just kind of phased out, honestly. It wasn't really any one thing they did. I just kind of got burned out and stopped.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe if the progression had somehow hooked me, that wouldn't have happened. But I mean, hell, that'd be hard to do. I'm always going to burn out eventually. Unless your name is Super Smash Bros. Or Sea of Thieves.
They had a lot of balancing conundrums that they, came across. They would try to balance something and the community would just hate on them for it. And then, they go too far or, it was just all kinds of stuff. It seemed really weird because the Helldivers community seemed very into it, but they also were very critical. I don't know that I've ever seen a community be so critical as the Helldivers community.
They were toxic.
Yeah.
I mean, it was kind of brutal.
Yeah. Well, for the next, I guess this would be draft pick number 5.
Correct.
I'm going to go with Metaphor Refantazio. Now, this is a game, again, that I haven't played. I don't think you've played.
Nope.
But this is one that I knew was going to be here because it's not only is it by Atlas. I mean, people love Atlas, JRPGs, but Metaphor has just been completely and utterly like embraced by fans of those games. They adore it. People say it's like, one of the best games they've ever played, if you're into that sort of thing. So I am interested. This is the one off the list that I haven't played that I actually would really like to play, because I just think that Atlas's stuff artistically, the art style looks so good.
Yeah.
I don't know that I would love the game, but it just like looks so appealing. I could like see myself living in it. And I like that this game isn't the school vibe. It's the fantasy vibe, which, okay, I'm drawn more in by that than the whole school thing.
Yeah. And the most important thing about this game is that it doesn't use like or as.
Oh, I'm so glad that you got that. Took me a second. I was like, oh, it's a metaphor.
Yeah. But I do agree that I agree with what you're saying. I mean, I don't have any plans to play it, but I will say that the fantasy setting is interesting in a game like this and an art style like this, and probably more interesting to me than the school thing as well. I mean, I played a bunch of Fire Emblem, and it's, similar anime kind of art style, fantasy setting. I love that crap. So I agree. That would probably be pretty cool. And again,
now that
no
means
like,
that
no as.
No like or no as. But that means that our last game that we can pick here.
This is my pick. Thank you very much.
Is your pick. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
With the number 6 draft pick, Daniel Gig selects Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree. But I don't know why.
But I don't know
no spoilers.
Why.
Yeah, we're going to talk about this game a lot later. So
yeah, I mean,
I guess we should save it.
Yeah.
I did call it a game,
strange.
though. So
you did call it a game, and I mean, I don't know. We'll get into that in a little bit, but I have torn on this. Well, we know, obviously, we've already gone to which games we want to win. I want Astro Bot to win. You want Balatro to win. Do you think that Balatro has a chance of winning?
No, neither of our games have a chance.
You really don't think that either of our games? I think Astro Bot has a chance, dude. I think Balatro has a chance. I think it's a small chance, but I think it's a chance.
I think it has a non-zero chance, and I think it's amazing, and I think it's deserving, is as deserving as any of the other games. It's a one-man developer. Stuff like that is great. Man, that is so cool. But I don't think it'll win because it's
you
not.
You've been thinking that in 2020 when Hades was nominated, you wouldn't have thought it won. Hades won Game of the Year. In 2021 when It Takes Two was nominated, I did not think that game was going to win at all. It won Game of the Year.
That is true.
Never know.
That is true. And It Takes Two really did surprise me, even though I played it since and it's amazing. But Hades doesn't surprise me, honestly, because Hades is like it's transcendent. It's just that good. Like I wouldn't be shocked at any accolades that Hades got. And I love Balatro. I don't know. I mean, our poll was pretty telling as to how many, maybe how many less people played it, which I think is crazy. I don't know, man. Maybe I'll be pleasantly surprised, but I don't think it has a chance. No, maybe I'm just being a negative Nancy. I want it to win, but I just don't think it will.
I think it's easy to dismiss it because it doesn't have the name power that the other games have. Like, the brand recognition. It's made by one person. It's just an indie game. Like, it's easy to dismiss it. I would not count it out because like we said earlier, the people who played Balatro, who know, and they are not just like fans of it. They are like diehards. Like everybody who plays it instantly becomes like a diehard fan.
Yes.
And that means that the people who vote on these things, like who knows how many votes it's going to get. You just never know.
They've probably played it. A lot of them have probably played it. So that makes sense. They're definitely, yeah. Okay. Well, okay. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's got a chance. Maybe it's got a puncher's chance. You know what I'm saying?
I hate to like, get your hopes up, but I just don't know. And then,
I'm going to be really upset if it loses now.
Yeah. My pick, Astro Bot, I really do think has a decent chance. But let's go into what the people want, because we did put out polls, not just one poll, we put out 3 polls.
We did.
YouTube would not let me just put all 6 into one poll.
No.
So I had to do round 1, which was the first 3 games, which was Astro Bot, Balatro, and Black Myth Wukong.
Yeah.
And then I did a second poll, which had Shadow of the Erdtree, Rebirth, and Metaphor. Mm-hmm. And then I took the top 2 from each of those and then made a third poll, and that's the one we're going to look at now. So you can see that the missing games were was Metaphor and Balatro. Those were the ones that got the least amount of votes. So
yeah. They got this wrong. The people got this poll wrong. I just want everybody to know. I was upset. I was upset when I was making this outline. I was looking at this poll, and I was upset, and I'm not over it at all. But anyway, the results are in front of you here. Astro Bot got 29% of the vote. Black Myth Wukong got 39%. Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree got 15%. And 17% went to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. And that's right, for those of you doing the math along with me at home. 0% went to Balatro because it got snubbed from the poll.
Right. I mean, what's really crazy to me is like Black Myth Wukong won this poll. But
yeah.
in the poll where it was the 3 options were Astro Bot, Balatro, and Black Myth Wukong.
Yeah.
Astro Bot narrowly beat out Black Myth Wukong, which means that in this poll, there must be some people who would have voted for, Astro Bot in the other poll, but their vote got moved to something like Shadow of the Erdtree or Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. So Black Myth Wukong ended up taking ahead. That's why the more candidates you have to vote on, it can drastically shift results.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is a situation where the results are clearly skewed. I refuse. I do not accept this. But I am glad that Astro Bot got second place in the poll. I'm just joshing your taters, guys. I'm not upset.
He's just joshing your taters. Just let him josh your taters.
Yeah. I will say that, Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree getting the lowest percentage, not by a whole lot, but getting the lowest percentage in the poll is interesting. Maybe for something we'll talk about later. I will say that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that is very interesting because in my mind, right now, Shadow of the Erdtree is like whatever the opposite of an underdog is. That is Shadow of the Erdtree.
The favorite.
Okay. Well, I wouldn't say that it's the favorite, but it's like
that's the opposite of an underdog.
Okay. Well, I guess it's like the past champ. I guess but it's kind of turned heel. Not because people are upset with the game, but this scenario it's found itself in.
Yeah.
It's but it's also the past champ. Elden Ring won Game of the Year 2 years ago. Yeah. So it's like, I don't know. It's really interesting.
It's like when Hulk Hogan went to WCW and, had previously held the belt multiple times in the WWF, goes over to WCW, turns heel, becomes a founding member of the NWO, and eventually a champion there. That's what's happening. Okay, Elden Ring has taken a heel turn, and I'm kind of here for it.
Well, I think that despite the fact that it has the lowest percentage here in this particular poll, I think that it has a very good chance of winning.
So do I.
And then Black Myth Wukong, which got the largest percentage chance in this poll, I don't see Black Myth Wukong winning personally, even though it very clearly won this poll.
I also do not see Black Myth Wukong winning, but I also wouldn't have seen It Takes Two winning, Randy. So here we are.
I don't feel like it's the same thing, though. I feel
like
Black Myth Wukong, it's like it kind of is the everyman vote. Like so many people just love Black Myth Wukong. It really transcended not only it's worldwide, but the casual audience and the more hardcore audience really dug it because it was almost a Souls-like, which, the hardcore gamers love their Souls-likes. And then, but it wasn't so much of a Souls-like that it kind of made the casuals feel like they couldn't access it. It was just that perfect level of where everybody could enjoy it. So, but that being said, I think that critics are the main vote, the people who get the most weight in this. I know that there are like the people get their vote too, but I think it's like a tiny percentage that actually matters.
I don't think it matters hardly.
And Black Myth Wukong didn't do as well with critics, so
yeah, no,
that's my thoughts.
I don't think it'll win, but it is kind of like the not quintessential, but to me, it's kind of maybe this year's poster child of like a big current gen graphically impressive spectacle. You know, like that's what I think of with Black Myth Wukong. Kind of same thing I think of as like Stellar Blade, but different kind of spectacle. So I'm with you. I don't think it'll win. I don't think the critics will vote for something like that, but it is the everyman's game, and
yeah,
you know.
I mean, speaking of Stellar Blade, but speaking of Stellar Blade, like what other games got snubbed? Because Stellar Blade is one that I saw come up in our comments.
Yeah.
Over and over and over. It was that Stellar Blade got snubbed.
Well, I didn't play Stellar Blade. You did. I did play the demo, and I don't know. I think maybe if Black Myth Wukong didn't come along, maybe it would have got the nod. You know, I don't know.
I mean, Stellar Blade.
You think it was like next on the chopping block?
I don't know which game I thought. Actually, I think the game that was truly next on the chopping block was not Stellar Blade, but it was Silent Hill 2 Remake.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense, too.
And that game was so good, and so many people were like, oh, it's not going to be there because Jeff Keighley hates Konami. Apparently, like, Jeff Keighley has a real big problem with Konami, kind of the way that they handled that whole situation with what's his name?
Kojima?
Why am I blanking on Kojima? Right? They handled the whole Kojima thing, and so apparently Jeff Keighley hates Konami. So everyone that's why when he was doing the reveal, he's like, "I'm not part of the jury pool." And when he said that, I knew instantly that Silent Hill 2 was not there. And he was saying that because he's like, it wasn't because of me that it's not there, y'all.
That's funny.
I was so bummed when he said that. I was like, no, Silent Hill 2 is not on the list. Dang. That's my biggest snub.
Okay. Well, my biggest snub was definitely Helldivers. But I also, I think I kind of understand why it's not here. I mean, I think it's recency biased, and I think it also didn't manage to really capture that flame that it had, that burned. It just burned too bright. That's what it did, Randy.
It did. It really dropped off after a while. Like, I feel like they fumbled some stuff. And what's crazy is that they were doing so well in terms of the way they kind of approached a live service game. It wasn't overly monetized. It wasn't aggressively monetized. It wasn't like predatory. And that was cool and refreshing to see in a live service game. Mm-hmm. But then they kind of fumbled the like other live service aspects, which is like keeping the game going and keeping people excited about it.
And they had that whole problem with like the PlayStation account and how you couldn't create an account in certain countries. To me, that's really what like broke the momentum.
I know, and what's crazy is that only happened to them because they were the first game that this came up with. Because it's come up again with subsequent games that are PlayStation games that come on like Steam and stuff. Mm-hmm. And they're not getting even a tiny % of the hate that Helldivers did. And it was just because Helldivers was the first game.
Yep. And it was all Sony's fault. It's not even the Helldivers team fault.
I know. It is such a bummer. But you're right. That did really stop any sort of momentum that it had. It made it so that so many people jumped off right then. That was when it got the huge downvotes on Steam. Mm-hmm. People were just like spamming it with really low reviews. It was a bad time for that game.
It was. And the only other big snub that I can think of, to be honest with you, is the Vampire Survivors Castlevania DLC. I felt like, it deserved to be here. That's bringing in a crossover DLC experience between Vampire Survivors, which clearly has a ton of Castlevania influence on it, at least aesthetically. Okay, that's the crossover everyone's been waiting on. And it's just such a killer DLC that I think it deserves to be nominated for Game of the Year.
Yeah. I mean, I really appreciate your efforts to transition us into our next topic. But I want to stop you for 1 second because I do want to point out that Nintendo did not get a single nomination in Game of the Year.
Yeah.
And so, normally Nintendo gets one game. I feel like it had to
Zelda?
have been Echoes of Wisdom. Yeah, I feel like that was their best game this year by a fair margin.
Yeah, I agree, but I'm not surprised that it didn't get a nomination. I mean, I do understand what you're saying. Like, Nintendo usually gets a slot, but it was not a big year for Nintendo, you know? So
No.
I wasn't shocked.
Yeah, I feel like maybe, I think overall it was a fairly slow year for gaming. Like, we came off of 2023, which was just so packed. 2024 was kind of like our, okay, let's relax a little bit year. Not that we didn't get some hard hitters, because we definitely did, but I think if it had been maybe a slightly slower year, maybe we would have seen Echoes of Wisdom there. But
Yeah, you're probably right. All right.
But let's move on to our conversation. We can't keep avoiding it. We've got to talk about Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree being here when it's not a new game, it's a DLC expansion. Like, what has happened to the Game Awards?
Okay, so are we good now? Because I think I've been doing a pretty good job playing pretty close to the chest.
Yeah, I think you can just let loose, man.
Yeah, this is ridiculous. What in the hell? I mean, we've been saying for a while that, okay, maybe DLC needs a category or something. You know, I've heard a lot of people say that, and it's not a recent thing.
No.
Well, here they are, DLC just breaking into the main category. I don't like it, Randy. I don't like it at all. I'll tell you what it does, since you asked, Randy. When you can just enter a DLC into the Game of the Year category, it devalues the incentive, or it almost unincentivizes just getting your damn game right the first time. And I'm not trying to say that Elden Ring didn't, because it won Game of the Year, right? But there's a lot of games, like Cyberpunk comes to mind, okay? Everybody says that Phantom Liberty is like amazing, and it's the definitive version of Cyberpunk that you should play. But when Cyberpunk came out, everybody agreed that it was horseshit. So, what if they drop another banger DLC and all of a sudden Cyberpunk is getting Game of the Year? That's insane.
Well, yeah. So I think
it's a slippery slope. That's what it is, Gampaw.
Okay. I mean, like, one, I know that this, like, on principle, it feels weird. It just feels off for a DLC to be in Game of the Year when Elden Ring is a game that came out 2 years ago. Like, that is just weird, right? But that being said, I do think there is something to be said that this is voted on by a jury pool, and they're like, okay, what was the best game that I played this year? And they think that, and they're like, to be honest, one of the best games I played this year just happened to be this DLC, which did come out this year. So, I mean, I am a little bit playing devil's advocate here. But at the same time, it's like, yes, it's a DLC, and I think it should have its own category. Like, there should be a dedicated category for DLC, but there kind of already is. There's that best ongoing game, right?
Yes.
And that went last year to Cyberpunk because of Phantom Liberty.
Right.
So you would have expected this to be there, but it's not. Instead, it's here in Game of the Year. And it's like, well, I don't know. It's like, is this a one-off freak kind of thing? Like, this DLC is so good that it deserves to be up there with the other games that came out this year? It's like, is it that big of a deal that it kind of has to be here? I just don't know.
I just think it devalues the games that did come out this year. They're saying Silent Hill Remake, which came out this year, just doesn't deserve a nod over a game, or there I go, a game over an add-on, an expansion, a DLC to a 2-year-old game. It's just not a good message.
It's 40 hours long, dude.
But Elden Ring already had its moment. Elden Ring, and not only did it have a moment, it won. Okay, not only did it have a great year, it won the award.
Yeah, I know, and I I understand. Like, I agree that I think DLCs and expansions should not be eligible for Game of the Year. But at the same time, I was thinking about it, and I was like, how much does it matter that the game came out this year? Like, because in my mind, the idea of Game of the Year is like, what was the game of the year? It was kind of like song of the summer. Like what was the game of the year, What was everyone playing? What was everyone talking about? What is going to be remembered about 2024? What game is it going to be? I feel like that at the end of the day, that's the essence of what game of the year means. Mm-hmm. And I feel like if the game came out and it was, say the game came out in the end of 2023, but didn't get really hot until 2024 and it blew up and it became that literally everyone played, does it need to be disqualified because it didn't technically come out this year? Or, that's kind of how I feel about DLCs.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think if we're gonna make an exception this time, and that's the approach we want to take, then we need to stop calling them the 2024 Game Awards and call them the Cumulative Game Awards and give the Best Game of the Year award to Chrono Trigger every freaking year. That's what I think.
Well, I mean, yeah.
This is meant. The awards should be highlighting games and achievement in games and the creation of games that happened the year that the award show is supposed to happen.
Yeah.
If we're giving if we want to have a lifetime achievement award at the Game Awards, like Willie Nelson's lifetime achievement award for the CMAs, then I'm cool with that. You want to call it, I mean, Jeff probably will call it the Hideo Kojima Lifetime Achievement Award. And we can give it to FromSoft and the Elden Ring team. That's fine.
Right. I mean, so we got some comments here. Laneator says the need to have a best DLC or expansive content category. Like, have that DLC expansion. I would include DLC expansions and remasters.
Yeah,
I think those three. I don't know that I would include remakes. I feel like remakes are maybe a little bit different, but what the difference in a remaster and remake, there's such an interesting, it's so fuzzy. And there's like Silent Hill 2, like we just got, that is to me a remake, and they've changed a good bit about it. But now you have like The Last of Us Part 1, which was also technically, they rebuilt it, they remade it, but it's the exact same game. Like they've changed nothing about it really. So like to me, that is almost more of a remaster than a remake.
I think if you're gonna include remasters in the ongoing or the DLC expansion category, whatever, I don't think you're going to be able to draw the line between remasters and remakes, because then we're going to get into a discussion just like this. Like, oh, shoot, does Last of Us Part 1 deserve to be here? We're going to be having the same talk again.
Right. Well, maybe we don't include it. Maybe it's just DLCs and expansions.
Yeah.
But that gets us into an interesting conversation that one of our comments later on addresses about, like, say we do create a category that's just best DLC, best expansion. Can we jump to that comment? Is that possible?
Yes. Let's see. Is that the first or second comment?
Second one from Bohunk.
Yep. Here we go. Bohunk said, I feel having them be just eligible for the best DLC category devalues the work that actually went into them. And that is the opposite side of the argument from what I've been saying.
Yeah, because if it's a best DLC, that's, it's kind of like best fighting game. It's not, people get pissed because fighting games never get nominated for Game of the Year because they have their own category. There's best racing and sports games. You're not really going to see those in Game of the Year because they have their own category. So in a way, it kind of, I think it does devalue it. If it's like, oh, no, it's a DLC, it can't be Game of the Year. It can be best DLC, but that's it.
Yeah. And I understand that because obviously there's a million hours of work that went into Shadow of the Erdtree. I get that. It's obviously high budget. It's obviously high quality. But if they wanted this DLC content to be in their game so that it could be nominated for Game of the Year, they should have put it there. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to take away from how good the DLC is. It's just, it's a DLC, not a sequel. If it's a sequel, fair enough, but they're not calling it that. So,
well, and it's not even a standalone DLC. I would almost be a little bit more, I know I've been playing devil's advocate saying, kind of arguing for it being here, but truthfully, I don't think it should be here. If it was a standalone DLC, I might feel a little more comfortable, but it's not. You gotta, if you try to go buy the game, you can't go look for Shadow of the Erdtree on Steam. It ain't there.
Yeah.
Right? You have to have Elden Ring Then you can get Shadow of the Erdtree. Not only that, you have to play all the way through Elden Ring before you can even play Shadow of the Erdtree. So it's not, you can't just jump into it and play it. You really do. It is deeply, deeply, deeply connected to Elden Ring in a way that I think makes it so that it is so deeply tied to a 2-year-old game that it, at the end of the day, I don't think this game should have been there.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you. I also do not think it should be here. But I hadn't thought about the fact that you can't just jump in and play it. But you're right. You got to have already sunk potentially hundreds of hours into another game before you can even play this damn game. This is a travesty.
Yeah.
And we have a live comment from Laninator who says, conspiracy theory, tinfoil hat time. Jeffrey makes it a point to create a controversy every year for the Game of the Year awards to attract attention to it. What do you think about that?
I don't think that's a conspiracy theory. I think that is a fact.
Same.
I mean, what's crazy is that like it started a couple days before the announcement was made, because a couple days before they updated the website of the Game Awards to have a frequently asked question, or like and the question was, are DLCs and expansions eligible for Game of the Year? And it was like, yes, they are eligible. Mm-hmm. And everyone's like, wait, hold on. That means for sure you just went out and told us Shadow of the Erdtree is going to be nominated for Game of the Year. We all know it is happening. And then it happened and we're like, yep, okay, there it is. And the conspiracy, like the controversy was started early and it was started strong.
Right. I mean, Jeff Keighley ain't no fool. Okay. Nobody that leaves the house in as fly a kicks as he does is a fool.
That's true.
Okay. The man knows how to attract attention. The man knows how to create a memeable moment. And he knows how to get some eyes on his stuff, is what I'm trying to say. So yeah. I mean, I don't think that's necessarily crazy, Laninator. You may just be onto something.
Yeah. Well, moving on. When that happened, when that stuff got leaked, I instantly put out a poll asking, should DLC/expansions be eligible to win Game of the Year? I knew what game was coming up, so I went ahead and I included Shadow of the Erdtree as the picture because we all knew exactly what it was going to be. Yeah. And 18% of people said yes, but 82, huge majority of people said nope, no way, shouldn't be there. Yeah,
82% of people got this right. I'm just saying. I'm done trying to be unbiased here. This is just, it's weird, and I don't like it. And I don't know. Do you think Jeff will mention it at the Game Awards? Do you think he'll say anything?
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I don't know. I hope he does, but I kind of don't think he will. I think he's just going to kind of brush over it.
I think you're right.
I think he's not. I think he's going to pretend like nothing's wrong so that, again, the conversation after continues. Me like, he didn't even say a word about it. Like, they didn't even address the fact. They're
doubling down.
Yep. But, it's like, I kind of argue both sides here. I know that probably I want to have both sides of the argument out there. Sure. I don't want to be represented like we're just beating up on Shadow of the Erdtree and those who want it to be there. Because I know there are a lot of people who do think it deserves to be Game of the Year. They do feel like it was the best thing that came out this year. And it's not just people who played it. It was the #1 rated game or, gaming release.
Yeah.
That came out this year. If you look at, Metacritic, OpenCritic, you're going to see Shadow of the Erdtree is #1 of the year.
Yeah.
So it's like,
I am not trying to say that Shadow of the Erdtree wasn't the best thing that came out this year. It very well may have been. I didn't play it, but it very well may have been. And I think that's a valid opinion for anybody to have. But I do think the conversation is not what was the best thing you played this year. The conversation is best game of 2024. And so the fact that it is a DLC, and like you said, not even a standalone DLC, in my opinion, is a disqualifying, piece of criteria here. That's all I'm trying to say. I'm sure it's great, honestly. It has to be great, or this many people wouldn't say it's great.
Yeah. Agreed. All right, we have a comment here. This one is from, let's see here. I accidentally zoomed in.
This is from Havoc M. You need me to read it
there
for you, Randy?
No, I got it. I finally zoomed in and found it. Havoc M says, even though Shadow of the Erdtree is better than a majority of the games released this year, expansions deserve to be recognized in their own category, and Game of the Year should only be given to new games. My feelings also apply to remakes like Final Fantasy VII, Silent Hill 2, and Resident Evil 4 remake last year.
Yeah. Well, I think we've talked about that before. Should remakes and remasters at least get their own category? I mean, that's been a discussion for a number of years now.
Yeah.
And do you think the fear of like just pulling the trigger and being like, okay, remake, remasters, it's a category. Do you think the fear is like, what if none of them come out?
Yeah, I do feel like there's going to be years when not now. We know that all we get is remakes and remasters now. I feel like you could make a category that was remakes and remasters, and it would have most of the games that would be on this Game of the Year list. I mean, you can go ahead and look. In this year, it was only Final Fantasy VII Rebirth was the only game that would have been considered a remake / remaster.
Yeah.
But still, I think they would be there. I think we would have enough to fill up a 6-game category easily now. But yeah. I think the DLC one would be the one that I think would be the more of the fear of there not being big enough DLC expansions to fill out a 6-game category.
Yeah. I don't think it would have to be 6 games, but it would be weird if it was only 1. So,
yeah. But there are so many games that get DLCs every year. I just think it might bring some attention to games that maybe weren't as big. Like we'd have, not that it wasn't a big game, but like Alan Wake got a couple DLCs this year that I think people were pretty hot on. I wasn't personally, but a lot of people really liked them. Mm-hmm. And so I think there are other games, I'm sure, that put out a DLC. Wasn't there that was a re-release. Never mind. I was thinking there was some, Xenoblade, but there was Xenoblade Chronicles X got released. I was thinking that maybe there was some DLC, but it was just that game from the Wii U that got released.
Right. It might also, if there was a DLC category, it might also maybe shine some attention on some more indies too. Like for instance, Vampire Survivors would be back.
Totally.
So that's pretty cool.
Heck, even Balatro got some DLC this year, So, I don't know that it would be eligible, but that would create some interesting conversations for sure.
It would. It definitely would.
Yeah.
All right.
So, Shadow of the Erdtree would probably win it. We got one. Let's read this comment from Brody here. Brody says, like I said previously, I'm voting for Shadow of the Erdtree to be Game of the Year. But even if it doesn't win, the fact that it has controlled the conversation means it is already spiritually won. There you go. That's what we're talking about, where it's like, it really is. It's taken a heel turn. I'm telling you, it has.
I disagree with you, Brody. It has not spiritually won. It has literally won, because Elden Ring was Game of the Year 2 years ago. It has already won.
How big of a controversy is it?
This is like a senior in high school winning a state championship and then coming back 2 years later to play on the high school baseball team again. That's what this is like. Okay, it's sad, and it shouldn't be encouraged.
Oh my gosh, that kind of is how it feels, isn't it?
Yeah, it graduated already. Go live your damn life. You've already had your moment. Don't peak in high school, Elden Ring.
If they had wanted it to be, available to be nominated for Game of the Year, they should have just called it Elden Ring 2.
There you go.
They should have called it Elden Ring 2 Shadow of the Erdtree. Should have been standalone.
I'd have no problems at that point. I'd be like, damn, they got that out fast.
Oh, but it's 40 hours long. It's a legit full game, so there you go.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. All right, man. Well, the last section of the podcast is what are we playing? What have you been playing this week?
Randy, it hadn't changed. I'm playing Pokemon TCG Pocket like a crazy person. I just finally built a Charizard EX deck.
Oh my gosh. You got some Charizard EXs going? I didn't even know you got them.
Randy, I've been posting in the Discord. You ain't been reading?
Man, our Pokemon TCGP channel in our Discord is so poppin' that I can't keep up with it. It just flies by. I feel like you can go in there and just watch the messages come in.
Yeah, it's very active, which I love. Yeah, 2 Charizard packs in a row. I got a regular EX, and the next one I got an immersive EX.
Oh my gosh, that is I've been opening only Charizard packs, hoping for that, and I have not even got close.
Yeah, so I'm done with the Charizard packs for quite a while. I think
Are you on Mewtwo packs now?
I'm moving back to Mewtwo. Yep, I really haven't opened that many Mewtwo packs, so I'm excited, honestly.
Me neither.
I also finally got my 2 Raichus, so I have like a Raichu variant on my Pika EX deck.
I think that's a pretty strong deck. I really do.
It's real strong. That's
good. A really good deck. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good. So I've been loving that because I finally got some of those cards that I really wanted to play with. So I've been battling again, and that's
how many
great.
Lieutenant Surges do you have in that deck?
You
That's
can
what
only
I've
have
been trying
2.
to figure out. I know, but I'm saying, do you do 2 or do you just
Yeah.
do you just do the 1? You're doing 2 of them? Because
Yeah.
I feel like it's a good card, but I feel like I can't imagine a scenario in which I would use both Lieutenant Surges in a game. Have you done it yet?
No, I don't think I have. Usually what happens is I end up getting like a knockout with Pika EX. And then by that point, the other person has probably gotten maybe an EX of their own powered up. And so at that point, I drop an X speed to retreat the Pikachu, move the Raichu up, drop that turn's energy on it, and then Lieutenant Surge will bring the 2 energy from the Pikachu up to the Raichu and then one-shot it. That's what I've been doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's pretty fantastic.
That's a good deck. That's one that I want to work out, but I actually don't have a second Raichu yet, so
I saved up 150 pack points for it. That's how I got my second Raichu.
I was just about to. I have almost saved up 150, and that was what I was planning on getting was a second Raichu.
Mm-hmm. So. I highly recommend it. I think you'll like it a lot. And then the only other game is another damn card game. I've been playing Hearthstone like a crazy person. I don't know why I just have gone whole hog into these card games, but it is just so fun. Hearthstone is so good.
I need to play it, man. I really want to play it. I love card games, and I really want to give Hearthstone a try. Like everything I've seen about it looks fun, but I just haven't had. Well, I've been playing a bunch of other crap, so it's like I gotta. Yeah. It's just hard for me to make time.
Randy's been trying to get to Shadow of the Erdtree.
I've been trying, man.
But he has to play the prequel before he can get there. So that's the problem.
Normally, for the past number of years, I have tried to play every game that was nominated for Game of the Year. Last year, I had just organically played all of them that were nominated before they even got announced. So it just happened to work out for me.
Not this year. Didn't you? Was it Sea of Stars that got nominated that you hadn't played?
Sea of Stars didn't get nominated for Game of the Year.
What did? There was. Are you sure?
Yes, I'm positive. Sea of Stars did not get nominated.
I think there was some. Maybe I'm thinking about the year before. I thought there was something that you left out.
Year.
I know what it was. You were talking about how you wanted to play them all, and I kept saying, "Well, you better go ahead and play Sea of Stars," and then it didn't, and then it got snubbed. That's what it was.
Yeah, it got snubbed. Yeah, it ended up happening because I think last year. I mean, if I had to guess on the 6 games, like from I remember, it was Mario Wonder, it was Alan Wake, it was Baldur's Gate 3, it was
Phantom Liberty.
Phantom Liberty was not a deal. It was a DLC. It's not on there.
Oh, it must have got snubbed.
It definitely did. Trying to think what were the other 3 games. It probably was Spider-Man 2. There was 2 more games. I feel like they were both action adventure games. Like had to have been. I don't even remember what the other 2 were. They didn't win. Whatever they were.
Did RE4 come out last year?
RE4 was one of them. Yep, RE4. Yeah. There was one more. I don't remember what it was. But
me neither.
Yeah. But anyways, I'm not interested in playing all the games that are nominated this year because I'm not going to play all of them. I tried Elden Ring and it wasn't my cup of tea, and I'm not about to play through Elden Ring just play Shadow of the Erdtree. That ain't happening.
Right.
But Metaphor, I think, is the one I'm interested in. But anyways, I have the games I have been playing this week. So, do you know about the debacle with Microsoft Flight Simulator? Have you heard about all this?
No, I just saw that you were playing it. I thought it was really random.
Okay. Well, I love Microsoft Flight Simulator. I played not all of them, but I played like the original one. I played X. I don't remember when Microsoft Flight Simulator X came out. I played Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, the one that came out, came to the Xbox Series X when it first came out. And then now there's the new one, Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. And Xbox was kind enough to send over a review copy. And oh my gosh, I tried to play it. I've tried to play it. I can't even play it. It's you literally cannot even play the game. You log in and it'll just sit on a loading screen forever. Like, I thought it was really strange because the last Microsoft Flight Simulator, which I had actually played a little bit of, like maybe a month ago, just because I knew there was a new one coming out, and I was like, I really wanted to try the old one again because it's been years, like 4 years since I played it. And so I downloaded it with Game Pass, and it was like 150 gigs. Huge game. So then I go to download this new one. It was only like 10 gigs. I'm like, what the heck? 10 gigs? Well, it turns out they've pretty much made the entire game cloud. Like the entire game is a cloud game. Okay.
Ooh.
Yeah. And the servers got hit so hard on day 1 and day 2 that no one could play it. Some people paid like $200 to get like special aviator versions of this game, and they couldn't play it. So I need to go back and try it again to see, because I heard it is better now. But I mean, you talk about just bad launch for Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. But that being said, I don't know if you've watched the trailers. It looks phenomenal. Like, it looks visually looks so good.
Yeah, I have seen some trailers that make it look great. It's a shame that it can't even get off the ground.
Oh, it really is bad. It really is very bad. I'm excited to play it when I can actually play it. But like, I finally got into the game on like day 2. I finally got the game to let me in. I was like, I got started. I was going to start my career mode, which a career mode should just be it should be on its own, right?
Yeah.
It was like, all right, create your character. I created my character. I was like, all right, pick your airport to get started. I picked our local airport. And it tried to load me
our local airport.
Yeah, I picked our local airport.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So I was going to play, and then it just sat on the loading screen forever. Finally wouldn't let me in the game. Eventually just completely crashed. I tried it again. Same story. I just sat there and waited forever. Eventually, after like almost 2 hours of trying to play the game, I just gave up. So I'm going to have to go back and try it and really give it, because right now, I mean, I appreciate, them sending over a review copy. Right now, it's not going to be a good review unless I can get there and play it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I've also been playing, TCGP,
Yeah.
But other than that, been working my way through Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, because the definitive edition got that new patch.
Yep.
It's looking much better. The new lighting they added is like the traditional lighting, very moody. It looks very cool, very authentic to the original.
Nice.
I played GTA 3 and Vice City earlier in the year with the old versions, and they were still fine, but they did look a little weird, but they were fine.
Yeah.
I played those like straightforward and like didn't use any cheats. With San Andreas, I'm playing it the old school way. I'm just cheating. I already memorized like 3 or 4 cheats that I just have like real quick. I can pop them out, and it makes it so much fun. I realized that was why I loved playing these games back when I was a kid. It's like what my favorite cheat I've done is the jetpack. Get that jetpack. I just fly. It's so easy to fly wherever you need to go. You just land down and you just do your missions. And it's just so much fun.
Yeah, we did that a lot back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
Passing the controller. Everybody knew the cheat codes they wanted. That's a great time. I'm sure that's fun as hell.
Oh, it has been really, really fun. And then otherwise, Catherine and I finished playing Epic Mickey Rebrushed. And overall, I liked that game. It was fun, kind of repetitive, but not a bad game. I would say it was a good, not great game. Mm-hmm. And then we started Mario and Luigi Brothership, which is not a co-op game. It's a single-player game, but we're just going to trade the controller back and forth. And we started that last night, and we kind of got just out of the tutorial area, so we haven't gotten too far into it yet.
Okay. Well, you have to let us know how that is.
Right now, my initial impression is that it is very similar to Paper Mario. I have never played a Mario and Luigi game. I didn't realize how similar they are to Paper Mario. They are very similar.
Yeah, that's kind of the vibe I got too, honestly. So
very similar to Paper Mario. Like gameplay wise, almost identical.
Mm-hmm. Well, it'll be interesting to see if you notice, any real ways that they differentiate there, or if it really is at this point just kind of morphed into the same kind of game.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably got some things that are different about it. There are definitely already some things that are different about it in terms of the combat system. There are like these moves that you can do with Mario and Luigi, like kind of like combos and stuff, and they're all time-based. It's turn-based game, but these, like Paper Mario, we have time-based mechanics within the turn-based.
Right.
But there's these combos, and those are really important because you want to get that to get your most bang out of your buck with every attack. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
y'all.
Have we reached that time?
I do think we have.
Okay. Well, we're working on wrapping it up here, but not quite yet. I just want to let you know, if you want to hang out with us, talk to us more often, and talk to a great community of people, you should join the Discord server. There's a link in the description of this podcast. Really cool place to hang out. Hopefully, we'll see you over there. Also, we stream on Twitch every... Let me get this right. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. We do podcasts live on Twitch every Thursday, and all the streams take place at 8 p.m. Eastern. We'd love to see you over there. And also, check out Gaming Gig on YouTube and TikTok for some great gaming news, reviews, and discussions.
That's right, guys. And if you would like to get more of the Gaming Gig podcast, we do film a bonus episode every week for our YouTube members. Now, you can become a YouTube member by checking out that join button. It's next to the subscribe button there on YouTube. And it is, I think memberships there's only one price. It's $4.99 per month, and it gives you access to all our past bonus episodes, but also the weekly bonus episodes that we do. And today's bonus episode is going to be about Sony. They have plans. They want to acquire Kadokawa. I think that's how you say it, right?
I think so.
And that is the parent company who owns From Software. We've been talking all about Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree. Well, it might be the Elden Ring 2 ends up being a PS5 exclusive because Sony may own that joint.
That's wild. Okay. Well, we need to go talk about that right now, Randy.
We do. Let's do it.
All right. Well, we'll catch you guys next week.
Yep. See you guys. We'll see you. Oh, wait. That's not how we do the end of our episodes.
I did that wrong. It's because it just felt like a stream. So I just kind of went into a normal ending. Okay. I'll go, we'll kick it over to you.
All right, guys. Until next time, I'm Randy.
And I'm Daniel.
And this has been Gaming Gig.
Peace out.